So in the last video, I showed you how switching between branches will cause your timestamps to keep updating for the files that are different between the branches. And that can be confusing for your workflow if you use timestamps to tell you when was the last time the file was modified. So I'm going to show you how to stop that from happening. So here I'm in this repository that has two branches. I'm in our studio, and up here, this is where I would see my branches because I have RStudio linked to Git. So first off, I'm going to make sure I'm in the main branch. If you didn't have RStudio linked to Git, then you can see the same thing. If you go into GitHub Desktop, you can switch branches there too. It's not something that has to do with RStudio. It has to do with what your file system state is in. So I've switched my file system state to main. So I want to go into this folder. It's this .git folder. If you don't see that, click on the cog, Show Hidden Files. So I click on that. And then I want to look in this Git, this hooks folder. So I click here. So this is code that will run when a certain action happens. So this one is after update. That code will happen. And what we want is some code that's going to run right after we check out a branch. So one thing to note about all these files is by default they're all set to be executable. We're going to make a new file, and we want to make sure that stays executable. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate one of these. Alternatively, we could rename it, but I don't want to get rid of the sample, so I'm just going to copy it. So say copy, and I have to give it a specific name, post checkout. That's what it's got to be called. Okay. Now, I don't see it yet, but if I refresh, you're going to see it. There we go. Because I copied, it kept the permission, so it can be executable. So now I'm going to open that up. That's not the code I want. If you look on the website for the week 2 info, you're going to see this bit of code, this post checkout code. You're going to copy all of that code. And you're going to paste it in here. Get rid of this and paste that in. Okay. So what's going to happen is that after you check out your branch, it's then going to update the timestamp to the last time that file was modified rather than the time at which you're switching the branches. So now let's give it a try. So I'm going to click main and I'm going to go to test. And I've got this echo here. So it's going to echo for each file that it's updating the timestamp, which is called the touch time, by the way. So you can see what's going on. Doop. There we go. And you can see, yeah, these are all the ones that it updated. And let's go back here. Okay. So now, yay, this stayed there. So it didn't update to 2.16. It's still here. That's what I wanted. That's great. Okay, and now let's go back to main. You can see these are the two that it needed to update. And voila, yes, my README is back. That is the time when I actually created the README. Not when I switch between my branches. And so when I go back, you can see, doop. And yes, my timestamps are staying where they should. So, so that's what you can do to do that. I always forget this. So I do have a note written some here where for any repositories where I'm using branches, because for me, this switching of the timestamps all the time. And then because like on my local computer, I'm switching between branches. So then my timestamps get out of sync with any other computer I'm working on. And for me, it's really confusing. So I don't like that. So I use this code to sync them, to keep the timestamps where I expect them to be.